Hey, this is Dawn from New Dawn Coaching and Training, and welcome to your long foam roller class. Today for about 30 minutes, we're gonna do exercises that focus on using this, just your long roller. You're gonna want that plus an exercise mat if you're on a wood floor. And we're gonna focus on a lot of exercises that work your core, your abs, your hips, your hamstrings, and some good stretching as well. So let's go ahead and get started. Well, first we're gonna warm you up with this roller today. So I want you to go ahead and grab it at the very ends. Make sure your feet are turned out a little bit. You've got your toes to the corner. We're just gonna start with an easy turn from side to side. So you wanna turn your pelvis and your roller and your chest the same direction. We're letting that heel come up. That'll help you turn your pelvis a lot more effectively. Keep your knees real happy. Then start to bring the roller up. We wanna just get the shoulders working there a little teeny bit, but we're gonna keep the shoulders down as we do that. Wanna focus on standing up tall, keeping your chin up. One more side to side. And then we're gonna stay here right in the middle. So go ahead and bring this roller up over your head. First of all, you wanna push up really long and tuck that tailbone underneath you. Keep your abs in, squeeze your glutes, that'll help. And we're gonna lean to one side. We're gonna come up and go the other way. So the arm is coming down. We're thinking about dropping that down about parallel to the floor. And your head just goes with you. So we're gonna keep looking forward and we're gonna go over. We wanna think about just keeping that spine up really tall. So one more each way. Over you go, and then one more over here. Next up, you're gonna stay in the center. We're gonna bring your roller down about chest level, and we're gonna come down and just tap that thigh, and we're gonna come up. Now, I'm trying to keep my back on the straight side. I'm gonna bend at those hips. The roller might only be going down to your thigh. If it's going past the knee, my guess is you're probably rounding to get down there. So lowering, bending at the hips. Let's just go for a couple more. Just want to get a little bit of movement in your body before we get you down to the floor. So we're all set. I would like you to slide your feet in. We're going to take a nice big inhale, lift up the body, and exhale down. Now this time when you take a breath in, lift one knee, and exhale down. We're going to alternate these knees today. So we're going to go all the way up. And if your balance is a little shaky, it's okay if you got to come down faster. So up. We would like you to think about how you're holding your pelvis. Think about keeping that tailbone pointing right down to the floor. Right here, as you lift your knee up, that tailbone stays anchored down to the floor. It's not gonna shoot forward at all. So you're gonna keep the top of that pelvis tilted back just slightly. Let's go for a couple more here. So we're gonna go up and down. Do one more time, so we're gonna lift you up. And all set. Next up, we're gonna keep those feet together. Arms are coming up chest level. We're not gonna move our legs. We're just gonna turn the body now. Turn the torso. Try to keep those knees together. You're gonna keep your knees slightly bent. If you feel great, you're going back a little bit more, maybe to the back corner. This will really help you loosen up the shoulders, loosen up your spine a little bit more. So one more going each way. Take this over and take this over. And then we're gonna pause. We're gonna take one more big reach up over your head. How high can you get? Really lengthen up your spine. Think about someone coming up with a tape measure. You're gonna put it around your waist. You'd pull those muscles in, wouldn't you? Breathe in. And go ahead and blow it out. All right, time to go ahead and get your mat out. We're gonna put this roller down on the mat and get you down on the floor. So next portion of class, we wanna get you on your roller. Now the best way to do this is to hold on to the roller as you're sitting on it. You gotta hold on to it, make sure it doesn't slide out and you end up landing on the floor and you'll get hurt. You should be right at the very end, and then I'm gonna let my hands guide me down right here. So as I'm laying down, I wanna make sure that I have my head on the roller. And if the head is extended off the roller, just kind of walk your feet down, walk your body forward, and you should be nice and comfortable on this. Now the roller is kind of lined up with the spine, so adjust yourself so you feel comfortable. Feet are flat on the floor for now. Top of that pelvis tilted back into the roller just a little bit. So we want our stomach to be in really solid here. Now I'm gonna start by just pulling those shoulder blades back into the roller. I should feel like my chest is opening up just a little bit right there. And you're gonna take a nice breath in. And you can blow it out. Now we're gonna start easy with the legs moving. We're gonna bring each knee in towards us and then down. So if you're not real familiar with using these long rollers, I wanna give you a moment or two just to really kind of get used to the stability, the balance. And I'm sure after you've used this a few times, it's really not gonna be any problem at all for you. So one more here. And next up, what we do is we have both feet come up off the floor. So go ahead and let your hands brace you a little bit. If you're real shaky today, I recommend you look at a spot in the ceiling and that you keep your eyes there the whole time. So if you just let your vision focus on something, this will be much easier to keep your balance, okay? So we're gonna start with just a little pedals out with each foot. So we're gonna go out with one and then the other. Now we don't have to go too big yet, just yet. We're finding our stability. We're keeping our belly button pulled in, and we're gonna keep those outer shoulders pulled back into the roller a little bit more. Now if you're feeling all right, you go out a little further. So the further out the thigh goes, the harder the work is gonna start to be. So it'll make it harder for me to keep my stomach in right there. But I definitely wanna do that. 4, my low back is staying pretty close to the roller right now. I'm not letting that pop up. So 2 more. 1 more is here. And then you're gonna take a little breather by just putting the feet down. We'll see some of that work again very soon. We're gonna walk your legs out, and the knees are slightly bent, and we're on the heels right there. What that does is help you tilt your pelvis back a little bit more. We're always talking the top of the pelvis when we're talking about tilting, and this will help kind of lengthen out those hip flexors because they get tight really fast when we're working them. So we're gonna slide those feet back in, and we're just gonna bring those feet in. I think we're ready to start working a little bit more now. So those feet and knees are gonna stay together, and we're gonna slide the legs out, and we're gonna come back in. So this one isn't gonna go as big as singles would. So we're gonna go out, come back in, because you need to be able to control what your abs are doing, what your low back is doing right there. It should be staying put, and back in. And this should not feel like strain in your back, and if it is, you're going a little too far. Now I'm gonna think about keeping my chin up throughout. My shoulder blades are still back. I know they wanna help out, but I'm gonna really keep them back where I want them to stay. So we're gonna keep on breathing. I'm gonna do 3 more. I wanna hold that abdominal wall in as much as I can right here. So last 2, and then we're back slowly to your start. And let's do one more time. We're gonna take that out, and we're gonna come back in. So we're gonna give that a little breather. You're gonna put your feet down. We're gonna stretch your upper body out a little bit. So take the arms up and have those hands meet each other. And from here, what you're gonna do is lower the arms out. I wanna have the backs of the hands touch the floor. And if you tend to be a little tight in these front muscles, this feels so good. It is just an awesome stretch. I know a number of years ago when I was having some issues with my fingers going numb, it turned out I was tight in one of my shoulder chest muscles, and this really helped me open that up and get that better. So we'll see this one again soon. Move your hands in by your sides and put those hands on the floor for bracing help. Now the knees are gonna come in again, and we're gonna stay here. And let's move those knees out. See how I'm moving my knees out away from me where my knees are in line with my hips? My shins should be just about parallel to the floor. We call this your tabletop position. And we wanna hold that there. Keeping the top of your pelvis pulled back into your roller. You're breathing as you hold this. And from this spot, I'm just gonna move one leg out a little to the side and then back in, and then the other. You're probably not gonna go out too far. Now we're not just sending that lower leg out, we're sending the thigh out. So don't forget that thigh moves out. We're not going out so far where you feel like your low back is coming up off the roller. You should be able to control everything there in your middle. Back together, 1 more each leg. So you're gonna go out and back in. You should be feeling some good core work with this. So 1 more and back in, and you can gently put your feet back down. Now we're gonna do a small little bridge, and that just means lift your hips up off the roller. That actually might feel good if your back's not used to being on this roller for very long. You just probably need to take a little break from that. We are pushing up through our feet, we're lifting our hips up, and then we're gonna melt down. We're gonna do a little bit more while we're laying down on the roller today. So have the feet come up, and now we wanna get used to stretching out your hamstrings a little bit. So first, 1 leg goes up, and now as that's coming in, we're gonna send the other leg up. So the backs of the legs, they are getting a little stretch right there. I'm sure you can feel that. And we wanna make sure they're a little more flexible before we start to have them stay up there for a little while. So each leg takes 1 more turn. And last one here. I still have my back down. Now I'm gonna keep both knees bent for just a moment, and let's see about straightening them both up. So that might just throw your balance a little bit. So you will get it, I know you will. We're gonna keep looking at that one spot on the ceiling. Now from this position, one leg comes down a little bit and the other, and then I switch legs. How are your shoulders? Are you keeping them out of this? I know they like to hunch up and you don't even realize it's happening. So try to keep outer shoulder blades pulled back a little bit closer to the floor. That'll help. So the knees might be slightly bent, but I don't want to bend them too much. I want to try to keep the knees straight. Lowering a bit. We're not going crazy low because we need to be able to control what the pelvis and the lower back are doing. Final 2. And back to my start. And then I have just one more time. So I'm going to lower and come back to start. So we bend the knees, feet to floor for just a moment. Let's do another little stretch. Arms up, arms out to sides, palms face up. Gotta love this upper body stretch. Through your pecs, through your front shoulders. I know if we tend to round our shoulders a lot, chances are we're a little bit tight in here, so we just take the time to stretch. And then move your arms back in. Let's do another time with bringing the knees back in. I'm gonna ask you to straighten your legs out again. Now I want you to go ahead and turn your toes out so your heels are meeting, and that should pull your knees closer together. And we're gonna lower down the legs like that today. So we're gonna lower forward. And now I'm gonna come up just a little teeny bit like that. So I'm not coming all the way up. I come down a little, up a little. It's funny, sometimes we make movements smaller and they get harder. I think that's the case right here. Now you have not let your abs pop out. They are staying on in. You're working hard to do that today, I'm sure. That low back is staying down in the roller. And if you just can't control those things, maybe the legs are just going a little too low today. Now I want you to try to squeeze your knees together right now. Squeeze your thighs together. Breathing throughout, make sure you're not holding that breath. So we're gonna go for 2 more. So lowering and coming back up, and then one more time, lowering and coming back up. All right, bend the knees, feet to floor. Let's do a small bridge for a moment. I just want you to come on up. Oh, it feels so good in those hip flexors. And then we're melting back down. We're gonna do one more exercise while we're here with the legs up. So go ahead and have the knees travel back in and straighten those legs up. So we don't have to worry about touching the heels together or the toes turning out. I'm gonna have you lower the legs a little bit. Now we're gonna crisscross one foot in front of the other and then switch and put the other one in front. We're not going out very wide. If I feel like this is kind of easy, I'm gonna lower my starting position a bit. So crisscross and try to keep your knees straight. So 1 and 2. Now how are the abs? How's the top of the pelvis? How's the lower back? And then how about the shoulders? All these little things add up to make a real big difference with the workout. 4, 3, I'd like 2 more and then 1 more here. And the good news is those are done. So we bend the knees, and I'm gonna ask you to straighten out your legs a little bit first. There's gonna stay with a little bend there at the knee joints, but this should help you lengthen out the hips through the front of the hips. Easier to keep the top of the pelvis pulled back into the floor. And we're moving on in just a moment to our next segment. So put your feet flat on the floor. The way to get off this thing is to start to do a curl up as you let your hands push you up. Now I want one hand on the floor, other hand pushes the roller out of the way. So that'll be the safest way to do that. So next up, we're gonna place this roller under your knees and we're gonna lay down. And we're gonna go ahead and stay here for a moment, get comfortable. Make sure if you're on a mat that you feel like your head's not hanging off the back. We're gonna go ahead and push this roller out. And I'm gonna place that under my feet, under kind of the arches. I think that's gonna be the best place for you to be right now. Make sure I got mine lined up there. For the most part, our head and arms are gonna stay down on this next one. This is about the hamstrings and legs now. So we're gonna have you lift those hips up off the floor. You're not holding the roller. We will be doing that on some of our exercises coming up soon. But right now, you should already feel your glutes and your hamstrings waking up, getting put on notice that they might have to do something today. This is tucked in as much as possible and just melt down one vertebra at a time. So that's just kind of your little bit of a warm up there for what's gonna happen. We're gonna do a few variations on that. So let's have you come back up, and I'm gonna stay right there. Now I'm gonna do little teeny pushes up with my hips, so a little up and up, just like that. Just think about your chin right now. I don't want that to dig way down into your neck, so we're gonna keep the chin intentionally lifted up just a little bit. How are your belly muscles? Do you have them in today? Up and up. Nice little pushes here, turning on the backs of those thighs. 5 more, and 4, and 3, and 2. And when we lower down, I want you to think about one vertebra at a time. Coming to the floor, then the next one, until you end at those hips. Let's just kind of keep those legs out for a moment. Let's lengthen out those hamstring muscles. I know they're getting a little tight there. Now we're gonna roll that roller back in. I'm just gonna adjust mine. And remember, we're at the arches, so we're gonna go ahead and come back up again. And we're gonna stay there. What you're gonna do next is a tiny march, and I'm talking tiny, little up and down with one foot and the other. Not lifting up really high, not staying in the air very long at all. What you wanna focus on a lot right here is to keep your hips from dipping down. I want you to keep your pelvis as even as possible. So don't let one hip drop down as you're lifting up your foot. So we go up. How's your chin? Did you remember to keep it up off your neck? Are your hips still propped up? I know they wanna start dropping here. You're gonna keep them up. 6 marches, 5, 4, 3, 2, one more time. So next up, you're gonna roll those down. We're gonna grab one knee real gentle, straighten it up, weave the fingers together back behind your thigh. You know, sometimes it will tell me if we do too much of that type of work, their muscles start to cramp. So if you're cramping, you need to stop right away and do a stretch. Because no matter how much willpower you have, you can't work through a cramp. You just can't. You have to stretch it. Which is frustrating, I know, when you don't want to stop, but sometimes you just have to. All right, so bend the knees, feet to roller. Find that arch again. Hopefully you can make sure you're there. If you have bare feet, it's generally a little easier to find your arches. Hips go up again, okay? So we're up there nice and high through the behind. Now this time we are gonna intentionally tilt our hips. So I'm gonna rotate one way there, one way the other side, okay? So I'm dipping down my hip, and then I switch. I'm staying up the whole time, but I'm just tilting that pelvis, dipping down from one side to the other. It's not a big motion at all. If you can see me right now, it's really small actually. Little dip. If that's producing any pain in your back, try to make the dip super small and see if that helps a little bit. So dip and dip. How are your abs? You should have them tucked in right now. So we've got 4 and 3 and 2, and then we got one more time to go. And we're gonna melt you down after that, okay? Just a small break. We have one more round of work while we're here. And I know you just probably wanna get that done at this point. So let's get you up those hips, okay? And it's kind of like what we started with. We're gonna do little teeny up and downs with our hips. So here we go, so a little up and lift and lift. I'm gonna keep those jaw muscles relaxed. I'm gonna keep that chin lifted up a little bit. I'm gonna really keep my stomach scooped in as much as I can. I'm gonna have you squeeze those glutes a little extra right here because we're getting close to being finished with this one. You're gonna go 5, 4, 3, 2, and guess what? We're done with that one. You might be glad to know that. So push the roller back into that start position. Let's give you another hamstring stretch. Pull your knee in, straighten up the leg. Remember how we wove the fingers together earlier? And we're gonna pull that knee back. So try to keep your knee straight. That will definitely help out. And then we're gonna switch and get you in another one the other side. So knee in, straight leg. I love that one. You might wanna take a nice breath in here and then let yourself blow that out. So we're moving on. We're gonna go ahead and have you lift your hips up, and I'm gonna pull this roller back underneath my hips. You're gonna wanna go just above the base of the tailbone. You don't wanna stay right on that tailbone because that's gonna end up hurting. And you must hold the roller the entire time. You must hold it, okay? because if you let it go, it's gonna slip out and your chances of getting hurt go up a little bit. So as we hold the roller, we're gonna lift the knees up, and you're gonna kind of feel things maybe shift around there a little bit, and you'll kind of see what I mean about having to hold that roller. And right now we're just letting the weight of those thighs pull those knees back more into the chest. That should feel so nice. We're gonna see this stretch a few more times today. But here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna lift your legs up, and let's lower them forward just a little bit. And you're gonna hopefully feel a little bit of work now in your abdomen. So we shifted the focus from the hamstrings into the abs again. Lower the legs down maybe a little bit more now. Should not feel discomfort in your back. What we're gonna do here is a little teeny up and down scissor type motions. I do wanna try to keep my knees straight. Let's pull those toes back a little more now. That'll help you get a little more straightening through your hamstrings. Now I know the shoulders have a little tension in them right now from holding the roller, but try to not get out of control with the bunching there. Belly button drawn in, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now just bend the knees a little. They don't have to come in a lot right now. We're gonna slide the legs out. Now we're angled out just a little bit right there. And I'm gonna go ahead and do both legs down and up just tiny bits. So down, up a little. See how we're barely moving there? 3, it doesn't take much. 4, tighten up the abdominal area. 5, 6, so a lot of times the smaller movements make more work. 7, still hold your roller. 8, so important to do that. Last 4, last 3, and then 2 more. Let's go for that last one right here. Now, we're gonna have you bend the knees. Just put your feet down briefly, push that roller out. If you have tender wrist, I just wanna give you a little rest right now on those wrists from holding the roller. That can really add up. But let's go ahead and get ready to do it again. So bring your hips up, get the roller back there. Remember, just behind the base of the tailbone. Hold the roller, legs in, legs up. Gonna lower those legs forward just to where we feel some good work here. As far as the middle, right? One leg at a time goes out and in. Now if your wrists are starting to feel a little too much, see if you could just kind of brace the roller with your fingers and not just go crazy with the hands and curling those wrists. But be aware of your surroundings because you don't want this roller to roll out on you. Now, if this is too easy, you need to start with your legs a little bit lower because we don't want easy. We want a good challenge. So we're gonna go out and in and out and in. 3 more. 2 more. Just 1 more time. And that part's all set. So here comes that really nice stretch I talked about earlier. I'm gonna really sink my knees back into my chest. See how far back I went there? If you can do that and your back is happy about it, do it. Because this would not be a type of stretch we could do sitting down. There's really no way we could fold this tight. And plus for a lot of us with back issues or say osteopenia or osteoporosis, bending forward this much is not safe. But in this position it is. So we're gonna go ahead and try a little bit more. We're gonna get our legs out. I want you to lower them once again, okay? How far can you go? You get to choose there, don't you? Yeah. Now we're gonna do little teeny down ups, little teenies, 1 and 2. It's not going too slow anymore. 3, 4, we're barely moving our legs. 5, down and up. 6, 7. If you're still telling me, oh, it's too easy, get down a little bit lower. It should not be anymore. 7, 6, 5, 4, and 3. I want to see just a couple more here. 1 more. And then those knees are going to come back in just briefly, not for very long, because you have 1 more exercise to do and we're doing it with a bent knee position. So we're going to lower down a little bit and come up just little teeny bits. 1, 2. Now you got to press that lower back out towards the floor a little bit. It should not be arching on you. Tighten up the stomach. We're all built a little differently here, so you might be coming down a little bit lower. That's fine, but I wouldn't go too low or too high, because remember, if we keep the range of motion a little smaller, oftentimes we'll end up working more. Now I need you to really tighten up that midsection. 4, 3, keep the tension out of the shoulders as much as you can. One more time. All right, so knees come back in. One more big old stretch into the chest. I love this one. I think it's one of my favorite things to do on this roller. All right, we need to start moving our feet on down. So I'm gonna go ahead, one foot down, then the other on the floor. Lift the hips, get rid of that roller for a few seconds. Pushing that out there. See if you can get your legs to go straight. Have your toes pulled back into the shins right now. Let your arms go out to the sides of the room. We're just gonna let you stretch a little bit here, which should sound pretty darn good. Let's put one foot on the floor. Let's pull the other knee in towards us. Now that knee that's up, I want you to take that arm and take it out to the side. Both knees now travel away from the arm. So for me, I've got my left arm out, both my knees are going over to my right. My right hand is pulling down on my left knee a little bit to help me with that stretch. Opening up through the chest. Now what we're gonna do is one more stretch while we're here. I'm gonna have you extend that top leg up. Now the hand is gonna help support the weight of the leg from underneath. And it can either just lift it up or it can actually pull it down if you're feeling awesome in your flexibility today. But remember, stretches should never be painful. Ever, ever, ever. Then we're gonna come up, but first I'm gonna bend my knee, bring that foot to the floor. My other knee's gonna come in. So I'm gonna send that arm out to the side and twist away from that arm. It's gonna be important that the arm that you have out to the side, that you keep that armpit and shoulder down on the floor. And then if you straighten out the knee on that other side, do it here too. So straighten, straighten, and I'm gonna bring my hand under my knee. For me today, I'm feeling pretty good, so I'm gonna pull that leg down just a little bit there. And I need to make sure I'm not holding my breath. Everything should feel good. Don't be surprised if you're a little different on the sides here. If one side is more flexible than the other. It's pretty normal. And then bend the knee, return both feet to the floor. And let's bring the knees in. Let's do one more hamstring stretch. Hold the thighs, pull the toes back this time. You don't have to worry about balancing on a roller, so that should be very easy for you to do. If you feel good here, pull your thighs back just a touch further. And then we're gonna bend those knees, feet to the floor. Let's roll over to a side. I want you to go ahead and kneel on your mat. We're gonna stretch out those hip flexors. And one foot's forward. I'm gonna send my right foot forward. My left knee's gonna go way, way back. So I have a long stride here. This knee is kind of coming over that ankle. Both hands to the inside of your foot. And then just kind of press down through the front of that back leg. So the front of that hip and pelvis is where you should feel some of that stretch right now. I'm gonna get in one more hamstring stretch while we're here. So go ahead and shift your body weight back. Those toes coming up, one hand either side of the leg now. You need to be careful, even though the knee is straight. This gets intense really fast. So don't overdo it. Where you feel a stretch, that's where you need to stop. Don't try to go into any type of burning or stinging. That's not gonna get you anything good. Now we slide that foot in. We get your other foot out in front. Big, long stride. Remember how we said about the knee over the ankle? I'm gonna lift up that back knee and slide it back just a little bit more. Both my hands to the inside of that front leg. And now I'm gonna go ahead and press through the front of that leg that's back. Not too much rounding in your back and neck right now. Breathing, of course. And then take a moment to shift your body weight back. Remember, this one is about the hamstrings. Toes up, knees straight, one hand either side of your leg. Comfortable. This one won't take you, you won't need to bend forward very much at all to feel that. Pretty normal. let's go ahead and let that go. So go ahead and have a seat on the mat. We're just about done today. You can bring the bottoms of your feet together and pull yourself forward into those heels, those feet, those inner thighs. Did a little bit of work today, so make sure we give them a stretch before we wrap it up. Let that go. Straighten out your legs. Put your hands behind you. Prop up really tall. Shoulder blades back, chest out. And I want you to move your hands out to the sides of the room. We're going to go ahead and breathe in here. We're going to exhale down. Before we take another one of those, I'd like you to take your ear to your shoulder. So just tilt your head right there to one side. Keep your shoulders sloped down as you do that. Bring your head up, tilt the other way. Think about ear to shoulder. And then bring your head to center. So 2 nice breaths in to finish. Inhale all the way up, sitting up top. Exhale, right back down you go. And then one more time to finish up with today. So inhale, come up. And exhale, back down. We're all set. I hope that back's feeling a lot better today. Wish you a great day, and I'll see you